G'day, Paul Adams here with Small Crown Productions. Welcome back to The Business of Art. On this video, we are going to have a quick look at how to apply for an ABN in Australia. So when we are undertaking a business, one of the first things that we need to do is to apply for an ABN, and that allows us to be registered as a business. And essentially, that is the thing that helps us to be able to write off our expenses against our income and that kind of thing for our business. So you need to have that ABN. If you're invoicing anyone, you need to have an ABN if you're doing it consistently. You can use a statement by supplier. But if you're going to be doing any kind of regular work and you're going to start invoicing people, hopefully with some sort of regularity, you need an ABN. So we're going to jump onto the ABR website this morning and we're going to actually have a look at that and step through the entire process. So let's just get there. Let's go there. That's better. Actually, no, let's do that because I know we're going to need that screen and I might just get that out of the way. I haven't even put that up on screen yet. So, oh yeah, no, that's us. Okay, so now it's really important you go to the ABR website because there are businesses out there who will present themselves like they are the ABR website to register your ABN for you, and they will want you to pay a service. To register an ABN is completely free. It takes maybe 10 minutes. It's not a huge, hard process, but there are websites out there who will, basically, if you do a search for ABN, you might find businesses that are, basically saying, yes, you can apply for your ABN here, and then they want to charge you. And essentially, you don't want to do that. There is zero charge when you apply for an ABN. So you want to go to the abr.gov.au website. So head here. And this is the website you will be presented with. In fact, let me even can I just do the screen without me? Is it possible? I don't know. Doesn't look like I've got a layout for that. All right. So let's jump in here. So this is actually quite daunting when you first look at it. But the column that we want is this first one for businesses, super funds, and charities. So this is the column that you want. So there's tax professionals and government agencies. And you can see here, apply for an ABN. So we're going to click on that. And then it brings up another page applying for an ABN. The ABN is a unique 11-digit number that identifies your business or organization to the government and community. So you can apply or reapply for an ABN here. So we're going to click on that button. So it's important that if you are a tax professional, you use the tax professional services. Before starting your ABN application, you need to read and confirm that you understand this information. So let's have a quick look at this. They review the ABN applications to ensure only genuine businesses get and keep an ABN. So you need to make sure that you can provide evidence that you are entitled to an ABN. And that's done through the questions that they ask in this process. For each false or misleading statement made in your ABN application, a penalty of up to $12,600 may be applied. So if you are trying to somehow rort the system and they catch you, it's very, very bad. Do not do that. I will not actually be formally submitting this application today because I don't want to be subject to that. And I'll just be using some test data, not my own data. But I want to step you through as much of the process as we can so you've seen it and you understand what you're looking into. They will validate your information with other agencies, and that'll be things like your tax file number. And once you have your ABN, you must update it within 28 days of any change and cancel it if you are no longer trading. So that's all pretty straightforward sort of stuff. I agree to provide true and correct information. Tick this little box on the right-hand side here, and then hit next. So ABN entitlement. Now, if you are starting out, which is really what this is aimed at, you are more than likely going to start out, like most of us, as an individual or a sole trader. So this is essentially meaning that you are trading as the business. You are the business. You can register a business name separately and trade as that business name. So for me, I'm still a sole trader. Mine is an individual sole trader ABN. I have a registered business name called Small Crown Productions, and so I can trade as Small Crown Productions. So I can put the logo on there, new letterheads and that sort of stuff. You can start trading with your business name on your invoices and that sort of stuff without having to have that business name registered to start with, but it's not protected in any way. So somebody else could actually register that business name and start using it, and then stop you from using it if they see that you're doing that. So it is a separate process to register a business name, and there is a fee involved with that. We can cover that in a different video, but you can trade as that ahead of time if you wanted to do that. Company partnership and trust, so they're obviously proprietary limited type companies, which are a completely different structure. And when you're starting out, it's very, very, very rare that someone would start out that way. There are absolute advantages to doing that because it protects you as the individual from any liability that the company or the partnership might have. So if you are a proprietary limited company, you as the person working for that company would essentially be employed by the company. And so the company gets the work, they employ you to go and do that work. All of the income goes into the company, and then the company pays you. So there's a whole cycle of process there that you need to be around to be able to do that. And when you're starting out, it's probably more than you want to have to deal with. And the other side of it is that if you are a proprietary limited company, you need to be registered with ASIC, and there are fees involved, and it's at least like $1,000 a year to maintain your ASIC registration. So when you're starting out, you don't want to do that. Sole trader, be conscious of that. So we're going to click that. And of course, superannuation entity is our thing. So individual sole trader. It's important to know that when applying for your ABN, this does not automatically mean you are carrying on an enterprise as an individual sole trader. There are a range of tests that are used to determine whether you are an individual sole trader carrying on an enterprise. The following questions will assist in determining whether you are considered to be an individual sole trader. Will your activities be carried out in Australia? For us, yes. Have you started or are you taking steps to your activity? Now, it's important you click yes here, because if you click no, that's one of the tests. If you're not actually doing anything to be a business, then you don't get an ABN. So you need to click yes there. So even if you're just starting out and you haven't even invoiced for your first job yet, you are setting yourself up. You are taking steps to be a business. You want to click yes. What is the nature of your activity? And you have a few options: apprentice in the form of a business, renting or leasing residential property in the form of a license, lease, or other grant of an interest in property, one-off commercial transactions not done in the course of a business. So of course we want to choose in the form of a business, because that's what we're doing. We're setting up a business. Are you doing things that are consistent with running a business? And you can use the help icon, these little question mark icons over here, to help you with that. And so what is covered by that? Well, these include an intention to engage in commercial activity. So if you are hoping to invoice somebody for the services you provide, then that's what you're doing. The intention to make a profit from the activity. Absolutely, we want to make a profit. Um, and it's an interesting thing that you desire to make a profit. So you're not doing it as a hobby. You're actually intending to sell the services or provide services that you're going to invoice for commercially, and you want to make a profit from that. I actually had my tax agent ring me once and ask me, are you intending to make a profit from this business? Because for a couple of years I made a loss. And I'm like, yes. So it's important that that's maintained. The recurrent or regular nature of the activity. So it's something that you do again and again and again. The activity is carried out in a similar manner to that of other businesses in the same or similar trades. So you are understanding that there is a general format that the business operates under, that most businesses in that form will operate under, and you're going to basically be doing the same. You might do some things different, but the basic structure is the same. The activity is systematic, organized, and carried out in a business-like manner, and records are kept. Now, you might think to yourself, I don't have a system, I don't have a process. Well, if you are creating an invoice and sending that to somebody and getting paid, that's a system. That's part of that. So yes, you're doing that. And you don't have to be doing all of these. You're doing some of them, and that's what matters. But being systematic, organized, and carrying on like a business matter, and records being kept, that's very important. That's a whole different video about record keeping. And there is one on the channel which, once this is processed, I'll link to. But yeah, so you're doing that. The activities are of a reasonable size and scale. Now, the reality is when you're starting out, it doesn't feel like a scale. It's not at scale. It is reasonable for the position that you are in. So if you are literally just a recent graduate, which is why I'm doing this video, because I was working with a recent graduate who wasn't sure how to apply for an ABN. And so that's why I thought, well, I'll create this video. If you have the intention to go out and get work, well, then you're a startup and you're at the beginning process. Yes, it is appropriate for the size and scale that you are. It's fine. a business plan exists. That business plan in your brain could be, I want to try and find work, and get paid for work. That's a business plan, and it doesn't have to be on paper, right? It's best if it is, if you got a strategy and a vision and all that kind of stuff. But to start out with, if your plan is to try and find work and get paid, that's a business plan. So don't overthink it. And the entity has relevant knowledge or skill. You've just graduated from a degree or some kind of training. You have relevant skill. So all of those, no, not all of these indicators need to be present for you to carry on business. However, it should be expected the activity would meet several. And even as a startup, just out of some kind of film college or acting school or whatever, or art college, you will fit a lot of those. So it always feels much bigger than it really is. When you think about it in the smallest scale, you are still meeting a lot of those. So yes, you are consistent with running a business. Next. So it gives you a bit of a summary. Please check your responses to the above questions before selecting next. You will not be able to change your responses once you proceed. You are able to restart your application if the information you provided was incorrect. We suggest reviewing the information on the ABR register website before submitting a new application. But yep, we're going to do that. We know it's all right. Okay, so now we get up to the application detail. So you can see there's a few different things here. So application detail. Please use the previous, next, or other buttons at the bottom of the screen to navigate. For taxation purposes, which type of entity is the applicant? You can see it's pre-selected because we've already selected that. Does the applicant currently have an ABN or previously had an ABN? So the answer here is no, because we haven't had one before. If you entered yes to the question above, you would put your previous ABN there or your current ABN. Now, the reality is, in my understanding from conversations I've had with my tax agent, is that as a sole trader, you can only have one ABN. And so even if you do multiple different types of work, so for me, my main work is as a director, an actor, a producer in theatre and sort of video production. So they are considered different business forms. So theatre production, acting, video production, they're all different business activities and business business activities, yeah. And so they will appear separately on my tax return as different business structures. But and so I have one ABN that covers all of that as a sole trader. So if you've previously held one and it's been cancelled, you would still be eligible. If you currently hold one as a sole trader, you will probably not be able to get a new one. So that's what that's covering off there. Does the applicant wish to apply or reapply for an Australian business number? Yes, we're applying. We've never applied for one before. Does the applicant have a tax file number? You should. If you are over the age of 16-ish, you should have a tax file number. Yes. Does the applicant wish to apply for a tax file number? No, we do not. Now, you'll see that there are no little asterisks next to any of these. That's interesting, but not required. So let's go next. Taxation information. If the applicant, is the applicant an Australian resident for tax purposes? Well, then for us, it is yes. If the applicant uses or intends to use the services of a registered agent, what is their registered agent number? We're not at this point. We don't have one. I do, but as starting out, you probably won't have that. So you can leave that blank and then just click next. Okay, so now we're up to business information. So as a sole trader, that is us. We are the business. So for me, I'm going to select Mr. Oh, gee, Air Chief Marshal. I'd love to have that. That'd be fun. First given name. So I've already been through here and tested this. So we're going to go with Testy McTest Case. That's our name. Let's go with the first of the first 1970. And what is the individual sole trader's tax file number? So if you've got your tax file number, you can put the tax file number in here, and that applies it to your ABN through this process. You are not required, you can see here, you are not required by law to quote a tax file number, but not quoting it will delay your registration because they will need this to go away manually and check you against the details that you've provided. Whereas if you provide a tax file number here, the system will do that in the background. And at the end of this process, you will automatically get an ABN. So I definitely recommend putting your tax file number in there because it means that you can do this process and get an ABN straight away. I'm not because I don't have a tax file number for Testy McTest Case. So we're going to move forward. And here we are at the business information again. So this is applicant information, now the business activity details. From what date does the individual sole trader require its ABN? Always put today's date. Whatever date you're watching this video, put today's date. You don't want it down the track. You don't want it later. Just get it now. Just get it now and you've got it. Because the minute you've got it, it registers you as a business and you can start collecting receipts that can be written off against your taxable income. So it's really important. So definitely put today's date. If you intend for this business activity to be less than 3 months, on what date do you expect to cease business? Leave it blank. We are in business for a while. Main business activity. So let's put video production here because that's one of the other things I do. A lot of people and the young guy that I was chatting to the other day is in video production. So you pop that in there. After you are issued an ABN, you can update your ABN record to add up to 4 additional business activities. So you can separate that out. So for me, I pick up little bits and pieces of work as a contractor, just doing like general labor or teaching or coaching and all sorts of stuff. And so all of that goes under my one ABN. But in my tax return at the end of the year, they all get listed as different business entity or business structures, kind of business schedules, I think it's called, on my tax return. And so my acting will be here, my video production will be here, my general labor stuff that I might do and pick up a bit of work here and there will be under here. Now, that's important because the things that I write off against the general labor will be different sometimes, slightly, to the things that I write off against video production or directing or acting. And so, sometimes that can have an effect on the way that things are claimed against your taxable income. So it's important to just be aware of that. That's something that your tax agent will take care of, though. So, unless you're doing your own tax returns, in which case it's something to learn. Select the category which best matches the individual sole trader's main business activity. So because we've put some information in here, this will populate a list and we'll just click video production. Government agencies may contact you regarding important information relevant to your business activity. That will be very, very prominent if you were choosing something like winemaking. So there are laws and all sorts of things around that. So you need to just be conscious of that. Does the individual sole trader operate an agricultural property? So do you have a farm? Do you have an orchard, that kind of thing? No, we don't have a farm. We don't have an agricultural property. Next. Okay, and so here it's going to ask for some details. So we're going to put the address in. We'll put it at 1 Test Street. Let's go. Oh, it pops up a list. Let's not do that. Well, let's just go 1 Brisbane Road is a 1 Brisbane Avenue. No, we want something in Queensland. Let's go. I didn't even think about that. Here we go. 1 Brisbane Road, Bundamba. There we go. I'll just make that up. You would obviously put your address in there. Is the individual sole trader's postal address the same as the business address? Yes. And so it shuts down the next question for you. What is the individual sole trader's email address for service of notices and correspondence? So I'll just use test@test.com here. Does the individual sole trader have more than 1 business location in Australia? No, we don't. So our business location is where we operate our business from. So as an individual sole trader, I do that in my home office here. That is my business location. If I had an office in Sydney or an office in another part of Queensland, like in Cairns or something like that, that I was renting space for as an office, as a base, then I would choose yes. But I don't. I work from home. I work from my home office. So that's a no. Either a mobile telephone number or an email address must be provided. If a work telephone number is provided, then an email address must be provided. So what they want here is your personal contact details. What is the telephone number for this location? So I'm going to choose mobile here, and we're going to put, I did this before, 0404 001 223. This is a dodgy number that I just made up. And what is the email address for this location? So I can put same as service of notice email, which is the same as this one up here. So that might be your personal email, the one that you're using for your business, might be a Gmail account, whatever. It's totally fine. If not, you can type that in there if you've got a separate business email that you want to use. And we click next. And no thanks, I don't want to save that. Okay. Business activity. Now we're up to business address details. So for a lot of us as sole traders, individual, that is going to be essentially your home address. So that will be the same address that you put in earlier. It's all previously there. Country address, address lines, blah, 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 all that kind of information. Is the individual sole trader's address the same as the business address? Yes. If you click no, It will be in there. Oh, this is the same page. Sorry, I forgot about that. Because this email address is a little odd, it pulls up this check. Please check your email address, correct if necessary, or continue by selecting next. Same thing down here. We've decided that's our email address. We're just going to hit next. Sorry, I completely forgot it does that. Okay, contact details. So all of this stuff is pre-loaded from our previous insert. You must provide either a mobile phone number or an email. So we will look at the email address and we'll add our test@test.com back in here. And we'll put our same phone number in there. All right. So if a mobile phone number is to be inserted as the business or after hours number, then the number is to be split into two sections, one of 4 digits and the other of 6. So that's purely the layout if you're putting it in these top sections here for business and after hours. But we're just going to stick our mobile number in here. Are there more contacts? So you might have another phone number, you might have a separate email address, that kind of thing. No, we're just going to click next. Okay. You must provide either mobile phone number or email. Again, please check your email address. Yes, same email address. We're going to click through there. Okay. What is the individual reason for it? Please select the reason that best describes why the individual sole trader is applying for an ABN. Why is the individual sole trader applying for an ABN? New business in Australia, investment purposes, purchased existing business, contractor, subcontractor, to receive payment for services, change in business structure. Now, you could, if you are planning for this to be an ongoing business, you would choose new business in Australia. So you will be a business. To receive payment for services, that would be more like if you're doing like a one-off or a short-term thing. So I would recommend choosing new business in Australia. Is the individual sole trader's first time in business in Australia? So if you're starting up, then this is a yes. If you click no, I don't know what happens because I've never clicked it. But for anyone that's starting out, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so now we get to the declaration. All right, so we suggest that you print a copy of your completed application for your records, as you will not be able to print a copy after submitting. So if you want the copy, you can print it. Again, a reminder of the penalties because you are about to declare that this is real information. All right. So we are authorized by taxation laws, including the income tax assessment of 36, blah, 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 blah. So they're allowed to do that. We're authorized by taxation laws to do so. We may give this information to other state and tax agencies and that sort of thing. So they obviously deal with different departments. I declare that the information given on this form is true and correct. I understand my tax and super obligations. Or I declare that this document has been prepared in accordance with the information supplied by the entity. I have received a declaration in writing from the entity stating the information is true and correct. I am authorized by the entity to give this document to the commissioner or registrar. So that is for somebody who's actually submitting it on your behalf. All right. So you would put your name in here. And they do not preload that. They physically want you to type it in there because it makes you think twice. And position held. So you can put owner, or you could put sole trader, which is probably better. For example, sole trader or tax agent. So sole trader. Date of declaration, that will be today's date. So on the purposes of this, it's the 9th of the 4th, 2022. I'm still back in 2020. And we're going to submit. Now you can see up here, we're in associate details. So we're going to submit that. So if we submit, your identity has not been confirmed. So obviously, because it's testy McTest case, blah, 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 and there's no tax file number and that kind of thing. So you can come back in here. So basically what it does after that, it takes you into a little bit more information about what your business is and that sort of thing. So you can see it's a pretty simple process. Read through the information that's there as you go through, and you will be fine. The next 2 pages after that are simply for just clearing up a little bit more detail around the type of the work that you do, and then the formal submission process. And if you've filled that all out correctly and the information's there, generally you will get an ABN very, very soon after you do that. So it should be emailed to you, some information, that kind of thing. So it's a pretty quick process. It's pretty easy. It's absolutely free. Do not pay anyone to do this for you. Do not pay anyone to do that. It is super easy. So go to abr.gov.au, get yourself an ABN, and Yeah, it's easy as that. Very, very good. Talk to you soon.